In a move that has captured global attention, Egypt has just deployed advanced Chinese air defense systems along its sensitive border with Gaza. This significant development came only 24 hours after Israeli forces carried out strikes near the Egyptian frontier, sending a clear signal about Cairo's growing concerns and shifting military posture. According to reports from the Middle East Monitor, Egypt has stationed HQ-9B surface-to-air missile batteries in the Sinai Peninsula. This marks the very first time Chinese-made air defense hardware has been positioned so close to Israeli territory. These powerful systems are capable of tracking and destroying hostile aircraft at ranges of up to 200 kilometers and at altitudes reaching 27 kilometers, coverage that extends well into Israeli airspace while still being launched from Egyptian soil. Why would Egypt take such a risk? The decision is not without controversy. Egypt's deployment raises immediate questions about the 1979 Camp David Accords, the landmark peace treaty that has shaped Egyptian-Israeli relations for more than 4 decades. Violating its terms could plunge the two nations back into direct confrontation. Yet, Egyptian officials insist the move is defensive, designed to safeguard sovereignty in the face of escalating instability in Gaza. The HQ-9B is no ordinary missile system. It is equipped with active electronically scanned array radar technology, capable of simultaneously tracking multiple targets while resisting sophisticated electronic jamming. Each launcher carries 8 missiles, making it a formidable shield against fighter jets, cruise missiles, and even ballistic missile threats. Military buildup in Sinai. This deployment comes on top of a broader Egyptian military buildup. Over the past 6 months, Cairo has mobilized nearly 40,000 troops into Sinai, backed by tanks and armored vehicles, an action that technically exceeds the military limitations agreed upon in the peace treaty. Egyptian Defense Minister Abdelmajid Sabaka underscored Cairo's resolve, declaring, "Any attempt to undermine Egypt's borders will surprise the world with what Egypt possesses and with what it has not yet revealed." His statement follows a humanitarian catastrophe. Israeli operations in Gaza have left more than 40,000 Palestinians dead, raising fears in Cairo of a mass displacement of refugees across the border into Sinai. Egyptian authorities fear such a scenario could destabilize not only Egypt but also the entire region. Dr. Dia Rashwan, head of Egypt's information service, explained that while Egypt's red line has not yet been crossed, the immense and relentless pressure on Gaza's population risks pushing the conflict southward. A peace treaty under strain. For decades, Israel has relied on the assumption that Egyptian forces in Sinai would remain limited and non-threatening. Now, Israeli analysts argue that Egypt's deployment of the HQ-9B represents a violation of the peace treaty and complicates Israel's military planning. Egyptian officials, however, frame the deployment differently, portraying the missile systems as a critical element of border defense against any external power that might threaten Egypt's sovereignty. The timing of the deployment is telling. In May 2024, Israel seized Gaza's border strip without consulting Cairo, a move that deeply strained relations. Since then, direct communication between Israeli and Egyptian military commanders has reportedly collapsed, raising the risk of miscalculation. China's role and strategic shifts. Another important dimension is China's involvement. The HQ-9B deployment came just after joint Egyptian-Chinese military drills known as Civilization Eagle 2025. This highlights a clear shift in Egypt's defense policy, diversifying away from exclusive reliance on American weapons and aid. While Russia's S-400 system offers similar capabilities, Egypt deliberately opted for China's technology, a symbolic message about Cairo's strategic independence from both Washington and Moscow. The 200-kilometer missile coverage also creates overlapping zones with Israel's own air defense network, ensuring that any Israeli aircraft approaching Sinai could now come under Egyptian targeting before even reaching their objectives. The Rafah crossing and regional stability. The Rafah crossing, the only exit point from Gaza not controlled by Israel, remains firmly under Egyptian authority. By deploying advanced air defenses, Egypt is effectively shielding this critical gateway from Israeli pressure during military operations in Gaza. However, Israeli military veterans have voiced concern about the danger of accidental clashes. Without proper communication channels, a misidentified aircraft could trigger a broader conflict between the two nations. Economically, the stakes are also high. Annual trade between Egypt and Israel amounts to $1 billion, and any war would devastate both economies already weakened by regional instability. Spillover violence and U.S. concerns. The deployment also reflects Egypt's concern about spillover violence. Hamas rockets fired at Israel have previously landed inside Egyptian territory, killing Egyptian soldiers. With 20,000 Egyptian businesses operating in the border areas and over 200,000 workers dependent on stability, Cairo cannot afford further destabilization. The United States, Egypt's longtime ally, has so far remained silent. Yet, Washington provides Cairo with $1.3 billion in military aid annually. The purchase of advanced Chinese systems could jeopardize that financial lifeline. Satellite imagery revealed that the HQ-9B systems arrived in Egypt just 72 hours before their deployment, suggesting careful planning over many months. Egyptian generals now openly state that their primary mission in Sinai is to deter Israeli encroachment. They have vowed not to allow Egyptian territory to become a dumping ground for displaced Palestinians. The risk of international escalation. What makes the situation even more complex is the reported presence of Chinese military advisors in Egypt training local crews on the operation of the HQ-9B. Any Israeli strike against these systems could risk killing Chinese personnel, potentially dragging Beijing directly into the crisis. This reality underscores a deeper shift in Egyptian military doctrine, from cooperation with Israel to a posture of deterrence. After more than 45 years of peace, both armies now find themselves preparing for the possibility of direct confrontation.